Certainly guys, you join us again for part 2 on the 3.5 Golf. So today we're doing the thermostat housing because this one's leaking. I think it's the seal on it, but we're going to assess that in the video. We're putting back together the drive shaft, which Lee is actually doing now. And then hopefully you'll see the process of the welding of the wings, front bumper going back on, and the sort of car being put back to shape. That is a big if and hope more than anything. So we're going to get onto it today, and hopefully you enjoy this video, guys.
Right, so in this bit we've got to change this thermostat housing, coolant housing, because it keeps leaking, although we've already changed it. So I would suggest that the actual body of it, where we only changed the sensors, is probably warped. So we're going to check.
I don't know where that's gone.
You're going to have to find it then, aren't you? So the first thing you have to do is take this metal body off. Right, so as you can see, these nuts at the bottom, if I zoom in a bit, they're the ones that fix that housing to the block. So I don't know whether they're just not being done up tight or whether that housing is warped. But either way, we're about to chuck coolant everywhere. So
no, that's solid. That's tight. Yeah, look. Well tight.
Yes, I don't know.
It's leaking through there already, look.
Yeah, check through the hole, isn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe that's what it's coming through the threads. But I doubt it. You caught it this one, did you? Yeah.
You caught it this one, did ya? Speak English, pal.
So that's it out, covered in whatever that is. But this was a new gasket not so long ago, and it's already gone as flat as a card. And it just seems to be leaking just by that bottom part. There. So I'd like, you can almost see it, that where it's pink.
Yeah.
That's where it's leaking from. So we need to find a O-ring big enough for that. Right, we'll clear all this face up and put the new one on. It's back on this drive shaft again, and after a lot of searching, managed to find the right boot. Came with all the hardware, a new stick-on cork gasket, and obviously 2 packs of grease. So now all we've got to do now is just piece this back together again, get it back all on, and away we go. So we shall start with the actual bearing itself, and then that sits on here, like so. You've already seen that I've cleaned it right out. Sure how this gasket actually goes on. I think it sticks to the gearbox coupler itself first, because it's got a peel off, so yeah, it must do that to stop it seeping through the bolts. So we'll get this all put back together, back on the old drive shaft. We'll start piecing this back together. What I might actually do is put this on the car on the thing to get this over and lubed up there, because that's pretty dry there. Seems fairly tight actually. That's better. Cool. That is tight. Yeah, that was the one. Cool, that was pretty stuff to get on there, even with all that grease. Just used a thin screwdriver just to help guide it round. So I'm going to put some grease in the back of the bearing first before I put it in. So what I'm going to do is just open this bearing up like so. Try and get as much of this grease around it. And in those little channels. They give you 2 sachets, so obviously you're meant to use 2 sachets. Just massage that all into the thing. Messy job, but needs to be done. Just flatten that down, look. And that way there's plenty in there. Just for good measure, I'm going to shoot a bit into this as well. There. So when this sits on now, so pull that down a bit. And then we'll go for some more grease. Right in those bearing channels. I'm sure you all know what a constant velocity joint is. That's what it stands for, CV joint. Goes on there like so. Really, I should have tapped that home before I put the grease on actually, and then probably put the clip in as well, but it's been a while since I've done one of these. To get my tools, separating tools out again. Let's see. Right, so coming home. Slap the tunnel up. Make sure it is all the way in. I should have done this, guys, before I put all this grease in, but like I say, it's been a long while since I've done one of these. I was in a rush to get in here today. One other bolt, just make sure we are almost home and right. Yep. Another one. Quite tight around these boots, these bolts. Be the last one. There we are. So what I'm going to do is go under the car now, stick this gasket on. I'm sure it goes back, and then the cork side down, and then fill the rest of the cup up with this, and yeah, hopefully we're cooking. So I'll get under there and then show you the bit that I'm talking about. So guys, that's the gearbox cup that I'm on about. You can see all the old oil and grease and rubbish in there. So I'm going to clean it out, re-stick that gasket to it, and then the drive shaft will be ready to put back. But as you can see, that's probably about an inch or so deep, so that will take quite a bit of grease as well once the new one goes in, and that will keep that joint nice and oiled up, protect those bearings. But yeah, that's what it looks like. You can see all that horrible dried old grease. I don't want that mixing in with the bearings, because the boot was split for so long we don't know what's in it. So I'm going to get as much of that out as I can and put that cork gasket in and put the drive shaft back. And there you go guys, there it is with a gasket on it. Just needs lining up at the bottom, and that'll be alright for now. And then I'll fill that cup up with oil, grease rather.
Right, so we now have got the drive shaft in. Not that you need to see what a drive shaft in looks like, but it's all done. Put the nut back on. Lee's happy. Lee's happy as pig in poo. So what's the plan now, Lee? What are we doing now?
The plan now is you're going to have to do, if you come around with your camera,
yeah,
you need to redo all this undersill here. Look, if you look under it, and it's all peeled.
Oh, Christ.
So we're going to cut it back. Like, you can see that, can you?
Yeah.
We're going to cut it back to sort of maybe here, and then redo it all. So if you look in there, that's why they started to rust. It runs down the arch through this little screw hole on top there.
So we're doing it on that side, and we're doing it on this side as well. This side's not so bad, but are you doing this side, or are we just roughing up the top where the bolt goes, where it's rusted a bit?
No, yeah, we're going to clear it all off and fill it and do it.
Okay, yeah, we are going to do all that. So we'll get that done. Obviously, we're going to record the process now. Right, so that's my side all prepped up. As you can see by the little time lapse that I spoke through. Just gonna go and see Rubble's side. So he's had to go a little bit further down here just because
And underneath, mate.
it's all rusty, and that we said underneath as well. It's horrible under there. So what's the process you're doing now, Lee?
I'm going to protect the metal with a bit of zinc primer. Then I'm going to fill it. Then we'll paint it all in.
Perfect.
But for those bits, it's all getting covered by undersill anyway. But I still want it primed and zinced up and protected, so that when the wings go on, the water can't run down under and cause what it done before. So, and all it is they put the wings on. If you show this, Cabe, they wax oiled the whole car, but obviously, look, you see where it stops there, because the wing was on. So they should have wax oiled it.
It's quite tacky, that wax oil, isn't it?
Yeah, so the rest of the car's lovely and protected, isn't it?
Yeah. Cool, that's strong, that, isn't it?
Well proof.
Right, this is Lee putting on the undersill. We don't actually think it's right.
So I don't know how long it's sat on Halford's shelf for, but we give it a good mix up. I'm in love, but I'm open to persuasion.
Christ. Yeah, so all he has to do is just brush it over. It's one coat every 4 hours, and it was two coat. So we put the first one on today, and then straight on for tomorrow when we get here. And it is literally just like tar. And it smells bloody amazing. So he's just going to follow it through all the way down. Losing a bit of light in here, mate. It's quite dark, isn't it? It's bright around this side. I'll take this side up, so all he's got to do is just buzz straight through. I'm not going to bore you with a time lapse of it, but we'll just show you the before and after. So that's before, and you'll see after in a second. Right, so we've just done the after. That's all undersealed. Which is looking good. Like I said, just got to wait for this one to dry, and then we can put another coat on tomorrow.
Hopefully it don't dry as shiny.
Well, yeah, look a bit naff, but this is Lee's side. As you can see, it's not as good as mine. Now, to be fair, Lee's side has dried matte already. So it's still a bit shiny, but it's because the light's not on it more than anything. Laborious.
New joggling tools arrived, and the welder has finally arrived. I've gone for one of these gasless, only a little 100 amp thing, but for the stuff that me and Cabe's going to be doing, should be perfect. We don't need heavy sort of welders for what we're doing, and it's more than capable of doing things like this angle iron and stuff like that. Today's task to fit these repair panels to the car. Got that one and that one to do. See where it's all rotten there. I'm undecided whether I'm going to go to that line where these come down to, or I'm going to go to this line. And the reason is once this cap's on, like so, your eye will be taken away from below that, whereas here it won't be. Do it below that line, because inside here, none of this is rotten below there. It literally starts there. So if I can go below that, that's what I'm going to do. And hopefully it goes well. But these are a bit crude in the way that they've cut them like that. But I would imagine that's so you can still open and close the radius until you got your weld spot on. But we shall see. I shall start measuring it up. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get on this desk. I'm actually going to draw the profile of this wing. Just on there like so. So that when I come to do my cut, I've always got something to guide it off of. When I chop it through here and use the joggling bit to give me a step, I'm going to get a grinder set up and then start preparing. So here goes nothing. It'll either work or it'll turn out horrible and I'll need to buy new wings. Let's hope it's not that. So I've marked it up, as you can see. Slow it down a bit. On that line. Gone and got myself some nice new DeWalt thin cutting discs and some nice DeWalt safety glasses. So what I'm hoping to do now is cut it to here, and then I'm going to cut the same here but slightly higher, so it'll be roughly on this line, so that when I joggle this part here it will sit under that, and when I clamp it together hopefully I'll be able to get a couple of spot welds first, plug welds rather, and then go from there, but we'll see. This is a bit trial and error for me, but it's the only way to learn, really. It's not really long enough. Here we go. Righto guys, there it was. Done now. You can see how rotten it all is, look, in there. So now, what I'm going to have to do is try and match this to this best I can and see how we can do it. But it's not very easy, to be fair. So my plan is to go above that by 10 centimetres. And then joggle it. So, sod it. Here we go for this one as well. So I'm going to work or it's not. So I'll mask all this one up and then get back to you on how I'm going to do that. But my plan is to cut through there, leaving this enough to joggle at the back and see how we get. So here goes nothing on this. I'm either going to ruin it or I'm going to be alright. Shame these don't fit in each other like plates or something that you can really get your nitty gritty on. That's gone downhill a bit too much, I think. Should have been a bit straighter, but there should be enough on there. So let's try the old joggler, see if it works. Right, what I've decided to do is cut this lip off, which is effectively this lip, and then that should sit over that to give me the exact lines of where I need to cut down that edge, and then hopefully it gives us a clean profile to give us a bit more to work with. There we go. So now you can see what I've roughly done, but I've followed that channel so that will give us hopefully a better radius to work with. It's quite hard to get these really pinched in tight, but just do what I can do really. We'll see what we're at and it's either going to work or it's not.
What we've done is we've welded the first bit, and I'll show you around that now. Lee's just scrubbing up, I'm well close with the camera. Lee's just scrubbing up this one. see that. Right, so this is this one.
This is an advert. See how thick that is.
Got a hole there.
So it's had quite a bit of gob, hasn't it?
Yeah, it don't look great, but it is solid. So what we're going to do is just fill that with filler anyway. But yeah, she's she is solid. All the way under. Perfect. That's all tacked on now. So we didn't need to do a whole repair because it was just that section there that needed repairing. Right, so we are test fitting the wings now. This is that one. Can you just shine the torch on the front of it, mate? So that's that one all welded in. Yeah, we've got a big panel gap here, but we're able to pull that in anyway. It's just because it's just sat in situ, that's all. So it needs a little bit of fettling, and hopefully we're all back to business. The other side's on as well. I'll just go and show you around there. So that's this side, look, all that gob in there, but this side's bang on. That needs kicking round a little bit, but we can get this side all bolted back down once we've cleaned up the welds. Lee has ordered the paint, but yeah, it's going well now. It's going really well. So just need to cut a couple of bits out from the inside there. Right, so Rubble's just sprayed it through.
Yeah, I've just basically used zinc primer for now, just to protect the metal. I'm just going to go all over this contour here, look, with frame sealer, seam sealer, and that should hide most of that. You don't see any of this anyway because it's up against the firewall. So not the best job, not the neatest of job, but we ain't bodywork people. And the other one was fairly straightforward. We only had a little repair on this bit.
Oh, that is there, wasn't it?
Yeah, so that's all done. The filler and all that will take care of all that.
So all we've got to do, we've put a panel in here. So what we're going to do is just drill through, because what was holding it wasn't enough on this. So these patch repair panels, they were right, wouldn't they? But they were wrong at the same time.
Yeah, they were too thin in the gauge.
Do you want to explain on that?
At the bottom, I know we've nicked this bit out of it, but at the very bottom that should have been 88mm wide, like the old ones were, and it was about 81, 82.
Yeah.
So I kind of had to flare all this bit back out again, add a bit to here by shortening that, but it was absolute nightmare. And it's often the way when you get pressed bits like this. Obviously they've taken it from an original, and then you lose a bit, but it just looked hideous. There was a gap between the door and this edge, going from here from nothing, because this part of it was pretty much spot on, maybe 2 mil short, but the bottom was close to 6-8 mil short. So the gap along the door went like that and then opened it. It was ridiculous. In hindsight, if you could get these 3.5 wings easily, I would have just bought them, because the time we've spent on this now, and then luckily the chap next door, Robbie, does proper fabrication and welding, so he helped us weld it up a bit more and showed us a few tricks. This is day 3 on this now, so, well, not full days, but realistically about 12 hours, but if you'd have just, if you could buy a pair of wings, which you can from America, but they're 350 quid each, the job would be so much easier. Or if I'd have just got at the rust before leaving it for so long now, because they only go from this point down, because the rest of the wing was pretty solid. These return lugs that Cabe shows this one, turn this one around, where we've had to weld the new one in. If you look how short they are. The actual hole on the originals is there, not here. It's just, I don't know, nothing's quite measured up really, is it?
No.
Everything seems to be 5
Wasn't as
plate
straightforward
wheel
as we
short.
thought, was it?
No, well,
We just thought it was a cut, weld and see you later, but
and these were only for the 3.5s because the Mark III has a bit like this, but it steps down and that locks into the bottom of the seal. Then you do a bolt up from behind, and it doesn't have this step in it either. So it's all a learning curve, really. It's just now it's going to take quite a while to fettle those wings back together again. And I'm going to have to probably spray the whole wing, which I didn't want to do, but being a solid colour I still might get away with a little blend. But this car, look, there's
50
so many paint,
50 shades of red, isn't it?
so much paint. So if you look at this, is the original, and then that on top is quite a bit lighter.
Yeah, it's
So
the same
it's
as,
had a few,
same as here.
it's had a full respray in its time, but you've only got to look between these two.
One of them. That's part 2 over and done with. So what you've seen today is thermostat housing, drive shaft put back on, and both of the wings welded. So in part 3, you should see us put the wings back on, front bumper back on, and obviously the bodywork side of it to the wings. Then that's this car relatively done, would you say, Rubs? For
Yeah,
the front end.
minus paint. We're going to match what we can match with the paint that we've ordered, but even Volkswagen themselves don't know what colour this car is because it's a colour concept. There's not a build sticker anywhere in the handbook or the boot.
So we could wrap it, no?
And also there's nothing on their database as to what colour it is.
Yeah.
He went by what 200 colours there are. Apparently there's only 200 red ones, and they're all whatever colour I said that was. Can you remember?
That A, Mars A or whatever
No,
it was.
no.
No, so I don't know then. I completely forgot.
We'll put it in anyway, but yeah.
Yeah, so but hopefully you enjoyed this one, and tune in for part 3, which will be, hopefully, if everything goes right, that'll be in a week's time. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, comment, subscribe.
Hello.